I'd like to call the meeting of the Ways and Needs Committee of Tuesday, May 4th to order. Can we have roll call, please?
Fox.
Here.
Radke.
Here.
Dick.
Here.
Coonan.
Here.
Parrott.
Here.
Hanson.
Here.
Springer.
Yes.
One present.
Right. Is there a motion for approval of the minutes of April 6, 2021?
I'll move it. Support.
Support Begic. Move Johnson, support Begic. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Radke.
Yes.
Dick.
Yes.
Coonan.
Yes.
Parrott.
Yes.
Hanson.
Yes. Yes.
Fox.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, moving on to public input. For those wishing to speak to the committee, please go to the podium, state your name and address.
Thank you. My name is Mike Duranchek, 710 Bermuda Street, Pinconning, Michigan. Also with me today is Ellen Schallerbois. She's the board member of the Pinconning Community Center Renovation, Friends of the Community Center. Just here to, in case you have any questions or anything like that, we hope that, you can see it through the budget and everything else that you can approve this $25,000 that we're asking for. It'll put us pretty near the $255,000 that's already been, what we need to get this thing done over there. The inside now is pretty much done as far as the floor and the walls and the ceiling and that. But the biggest cost, just like in a home or anything, is going to be the kitchen and the bathrooms. They haven't, I think, them go back to about 1940. So once completed, we'll be able to host for not just the city of Pinconning, but outlying area too. We'll be able to do things for seniors and veterans, is in the plan and stuff like that. So at this time, I'd like to introduce Ellen to the board, and she has some comments, I'm sure. And thank you so much for taking the time to hear us.
Thank you for the time. Yes, I appreciate it very much. The Friends of the Pinconning Community Center is a group of individuals that got together. We aren't building and hoping that they come. We are actually renovating because people are already there and using the community center extensively. We do have hopes to increase some usage, in particular for seniors. The Department of Aging feels that this would be a great location to hold a monthly or bi-monthly event, perhaps a lunch. We aren't able to do that until we renovate the kitchens. We also hope to bring more entertainment into that building with Tuesdays in the Park, which is currently a free concert series that takes place during the summer. And we use the community center as a rain venue, but actually we had a sweet Adeline singer pass out from the heat the last time we did that. So it needs ventilation, it needs air conditioning. Along with all the use that we have from the different athletic groups, we are very pleased with how much the building is used. The renovation will include 2 new ADA bathrooms, a new ramp and entrance. Right now there is a ramp out there. It's very difficult to get over a little hump from 1937. So it's going to take some extensive work. And I just appreciate very much that you're considering it. It's an important part of Bay County and gets a lot of use. I grew up here in Bay City out on Donahue Beach, and I was accustomed to being able to go to a gym, go to a movie, catch some different things happening in the community very easily. When you're in Pinconning, it's a 30-minute drive. It isn't a lot for younger people. For seniors, it's a long ways to come. For people with young children that work down here in the day and they get home, to get back in the car and drive them in for ball practice or a soccer meeting, it's a long ways. So it makes a difference. Thank you very much. Any questions?
Is there any asbestos in the building as far as you know?
No, not as far as I know. We have quotes coming in right now. So we've had experts in there and we haven't had any asbestos come up. So knock on wood. If there is, we will certainly deal with it in the right way.
Thank you.
Alan, what is the nearest location for seniors in Northern Bay County to go to a luncheon or an event sponsored by the Department of Aging?
I believe it is called Colin. Yeah, and that would be, and you may know that better than I do.
I thought that was the closest, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah, I think it's called Colin.
Beth is shaking her head yes, so yeah, that is going to come.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's, for me, I'm used to coming into Bay City. My dentist is here, my accountant is here, family is here. But when you're a senior, getting out on M13 can be a challenge. So you're about 25 minutes away from Colin.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak? I don't see any. Oh, Mr. Barsha. You're muted. The phrase of 2021. Mr. Barsha wants to speak first and then I'll.
Okay.
Okay. Jim, you're muted.
All right.
There we go.
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to very briefly say that, over the last 4 years with Commissioner Durancheck and other countywide elected officials visiting Northern Bay County, I can say that the community center is the hub of many, many activities for the community, and not just Pinconning Township and the city, but the northern region of Bay County with chambers of commerce and economic development summits and numerous community events being held there. And the community has really raised the bulk of the funds to make some significant improvements to that facility, which will, I think, ensure that it will continue to fulfill its role for generations to come. The improvements are going to be significant. They're a little bit short, but this is a vital need. And if the commissioners could see fit to, here in committee and at the full board meeting approve it, I know that Commissioner Durancheck, Ellen, and numerous individuals throughout Northern Bay County would be very appreciative of the improvements when the project is complete. And that's
Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Mike Lazard, Bay County Drain Commissioner, and I do have a resolution in front of the board for this afternoon to hire a temporary operator. One of the reasons is because of COVID and everything got backlogged last year. It still hasn't got caught up yet. And one of our guys with over 42 years of service is retiring Friday. So we're going to need some extra help for a little bit just to catch up. Is there any questions? Okay.
No, Steve, no, good. Okay, anyone else? Okay, moving on to petitions and communication then. There's a request for support of the Friends of Pinconning Community Center for $25,000 for the renovation project.
I'd like to make a motion, if we could, to perhaps refer this back, simply because, number one, they've done an excellent job with everything the way it's written up, all the fundraising, everything else, all amazing stuff. Is something I wouldn't have any problem getting behind. The only thing that
I'll support that, just for the sake of discussion.
Sure.
Supported by Kim Coonan. Go ahead.
The thing is, at this point, with streams of revenue that are coming in that are really new, situations like this may come up more frequently. And definitely I would hope that communities would use the work that they've done as some sort of a blueprint for coming to the county with possible improvements, for sure. But I would like to be able to have some sort of a plan in place moving forward with how we would deal with these types of these types of proposals when they come through in a more organized way as far as we're concerned. So basically, I would like an opportunity to be able to discuss how we would set up a policy and put a plan in place for when we get proposals such as this.
Can anyone, Mr. Redmond or Jan's here in finance, speak to what we've done in the past with other requests and or approvals? Do we have a fund set up for donation, for this type of donation?
No fund for donations. I think what Jamie's saying is we need a policy.
Correct.
I would say so. Especially in situations like this. This is a great proposal, and other people may try to piggyback on this or mimic it in some way. And I think there really needs to be some sort of a policy put in place for how we would go through these proposals and what we distribute.
Mr. Cronin?
I do agree with Commissioner Johnson. It's a great proposal. It needs to be done. I know we've contributed in the past, but as Commissioner Johnson has said, there's streams of revenue coming in. And what we need to do is to put together a policy where, and I don't know, I read the information. I don't know if the city of Pinconning gave any money, but let's just say next year Monitor wants something and they request $25,000. We need to make sure that, that particular entity, whether it's the township or whatever, contributes money as well. And I didn't see if the city, I'm still going to support it, but we still need to put a policy together. If the city of Pinconning put any money into this.
The DDA did.
No, I'm not talking about the city.
Not the city.
So that's where we're going to go with, I think, but that's not to say that this wouldn't pass, but if it's in the city, if it's in a township or wherever it is, they want money, they need to have some skin in the game as well. So I think that's what we will look towards, putting this policy together so everybody's dealt with in the same manner. So I think that between now and next week, we can do something and put together a policy, or if it's got to hold off a month, we'll hold it off a month. But just so that everybody can be treated the same going into the future.
Got Mr. Herring got his hand up. Tom.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Herrick?
Hey, thanks. I'm kind of far away. I don't realize you didn't see me. It sounds like everybody says, boy, I'm in favor of this, but just not now. So we can still pass it and put the policy in place after this. If everybody's so gung-ho behind it, then pass the doggone thing and then move on and bring up the policy later. It's just, if this is not going to change your mind, what difference does it make? That's going to be my point. So I'm voting no to table it. No way. Because everybody said that. I thought about it, but once everybody said, no, I really think it's a good idea. Except if it's a good idea, vote for the doggone thing. And then we'll get the policy in place after this for anybody else who comes forward. That's my thought on it.
This particular proposal does not seek to use dispensary funds, right? It would be a donation from general fund, correct? Is that correct?
I think that's part of the issue, because there's no where would it be coming from, and just like I said, it is a really good. It's a nice proposal. It's just I would feel more comfortable knowing that there's a policy in place, that organizationally we know how we deal with things like this when they come in. And where the money is supposed to be coming from. So just as someone who likes to budget in my own life and understand where a plan's put in place to how we proceed with things, that's part of where I kind of feel that this can, if we can just wait and put a policy in place.
Vaughn, did you have a comment?
The other point would be with the American Rescue Plan. I don't know how much Pinconning or Pinconning Township is getting and what the guidelines are going to be. They're supposed to be out next week. So there may be money coming available for this, but I don't know if this would be covered under that plan. The Treasury Department is supposed to come out with a plan and what can be used for. So it might be that they could get money out of that too. That's another possibility. So just saying.
Mr. Prager?
Thank you. So this is to Bob. I know next week is just around the corner, so I don't know how much time you would need to work with us to develop policy so that when these issues do come up from our other local municipalities that we've got something in place that's going to be uniform.
I would think you need different parts of that policy, one dealing with contributing to other governmental units and one contributing to other projects.
So what kind of timetable are we looking at?
Well, I don't know how quick you want this, but week or two, I'll rush it. I'll spend a little more time. We'll try and see what I can come up with and take a look at it. But I don't know what the deadline is for getting the funds to complete the project. Is there in the middle of the project or not?
So if,
Alan or Mike, do you know?
We're really working in phases as funds become available. So, of course, yesterday is wonderful, but tomorrow is good also.
so I guess my question is, if it would be tough to have it for the full board, but it's possible that we could have something together going into personnel. And if need be, Deanne, you could always post a full board meeting after personnel.
It's on the calendar already.
Okay, so we could bring this up and still deal with it in the month of May if there's ample time.
Mr. Herrick also has his hand raised.
Thank you, I'm done.
Okay. Tom?
Thank you. I heard mention of, was there any mention of the adult use marijuana fund being used for this, the payment we get? So there really shouldn't be, because if we didn't use it for that, that money goes, I believe that money goes right to the general fund anyway. So it's just, all you're doing is cycling it through. So it really wouldn't need to be addressed as money from that fund. It could just be, it's going to end up being money from the general fund anyways. I just want to make that, I think I clarified that. I think this, and as the way I understand it, that money we get, we just go in the general fund and we use it as we need it. And we don't have to identify it as being from this specific fund if it goes into the general fund. That's all I have. Thank you.
Anybody else? So there's been a motion and supported to refer this to committee to work toward a policy for donation requests from our municipalities. And that's what we would be voting on.
Correct.
Is there any other discussion relative to the motion? Okay, roll call, please.
DeGick,
No.
Coonan,
Yes.
Herrick,
No.
Johnson,
Yes.
Krieger,
Yes.
Radke,
Yes.
Fox,
No.
3 nays, 4 yeas, motion carried.
Okay, so who will be on that policy, Mr. Krieger, or that committee to develop that policy?
Well, of course, Bob Redmond will be involved. I would hope Commissioner Johnson, myself, Casey, if you'd like to be involved, that would be great.
And the goal will be to have something put forward 2 weeks.
Correct. For a special board meeting after personnel.
Get on it, folks. Okay. Moving on to item B, there's been a request for renewal of a crime victims' rights grant from the Dade County Prosecutor.
Support.
Supported by Mr. Coonan, or moved by Mr. Coonan,
I'll support it.
supported by Mr. Krieger. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Coonan,
Yes.
Parrot,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Krieger,
Yes.
Radke,
Yes.
McGinn,
Yes.
Fox.
Yes.
Motion carried.
There's a request for support of the Victim of Crimes Act grant by the Bay County Prosecutor.
So moved.
Support.
Mr. Krieger and Mr. Begic. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Parrot,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Krieger,
Yes.
Radke,
Yes.
McGinn,
Yes.
Coonan,
Yes.
Fox.
Yes.
Motion carried.
There is a request for support by the Bay County Sheriff of the health insurance Blue Cross Blue Shield inmate services contract.
So moved.
Mr. Coonan,
Support.
supported by Mr. Johnson. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Johnson,
Yes.
Krieger,
Yes.
Radke,
Yes.
McGinn,
Yes.
Coonan,
Yes.
Parrot,
Yes.
Fox.
Yes.
Motion carried.
There's a request for support by the Friend of the Court Consulting Service Agreement with MGT of American Consulting.
I'll move it.
Moved by Mr. Johnson.
Support.
Support by Mr. Begic. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Krieger,
Yes.
Radke,
Yes.
McGinn,
Yes.
Coonan,
Yes.
Parrot,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Fox.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Item E, request for support by the Director of the Department of Aging, their letter of intent with Region 7 Area Aging.
I'll move
Area
that.
Agency and Aging, boy, I can't speak.
I'll move it.
Support.
Moved by Mr. Krieger, supported by Mr. Coonan. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Radke,
Yes.
McGinn,
Yes.
Coonan,
Yes.
Parrot,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Krieger,
Yes.
Fox.
Yes.
Motion carried.
There's a request for support of utilization of a partial payment of the adult use recreational marijuana payment to offset the depleting balance in the healthcare fund.
I'll move it.
Support.
Moved by Mr. Begic, supported by Mr. Coonan. Is there discussion?
I'd actually like to make a motion to refer it back to administration. There's a few lines in there that I would like to further discuss about where the money would be coming from.
Bob, with the motion on the table, can there be another motion? With the motion already on the table, can there be another motion?
Motion to
Motion to
refer.
refer is always in order.
Always in order?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
I'll support it.
Mr. Herrick?
I just wanted, who made the motion?
What?
Amendment?
Casey.
We've already had two motions.
We've had two motions. Casey made the first one to refer.
Casey Radke made a motion to refer it to committee to adjust the language,
Okay.
and that was supported by Mr. Krieger. Is there any discussion relative to that? Are you going, do you want to talk about what you'd like removed?
So the county received $420,000, with $300,000 of that in this resolution. That would be 70% of the money. I believe that otherwise, the money would be coming from the general fund, which is written in the resolution. But there are two lines that I would like to discuss to see if it could be adjusted or removed with where the money is received.
Mr. Coonan?
Between now and next Tuesday, Commissioner Radke can get some information from someone to ease her concerns. And that's what this is all about here. You know, if you have a question, you ask it. And if you want to refer a particular item, you refer it, you get your question answered. It's going to be on the agenda next Tuesday, and then we address it then. So, you know, if anybody has anything that they're not quite sure about, refer it, get the information, and we'll go from there.
Mr. Krieger?
Yep, thank you. I would hope that Commissioner Radke and Tiffany and possibly Amber will be able to sit down and look at the verbiage and make what changes you feel are necessary. And we should be able to do that before next week's meeting. Thank you.
Along those lines, oh, go ahead, Jamie.
All I was going to say is, much like the previous situation, this revenue is going to be a yearly thing. And chances are, with what the formula supposedly is for how it's dispensed, that number may be coming up. I really think it would be a good idea to be thinking in a forward way about how we're going to utilize that stream and plan for it, as opposed to just simply dumping it into the general fund and then removing pieces and parts as it comes up. Again, I'm someone that likes to plan. And so if we know this is going to happen every year, then there should be a plan for how it's going to be used. Just my opinion. So I just wanted to share that.
Mr. Coonan?
And you know, that's a good problem, because I've been on this board 20 years and we've been cutting. We've been looking at revenue streams being eliminated and expenditures being increased. Now it's kind of turned a little bit. Specifically in this situation, you've got revenues being increased without any increase in expenditure. So I don't have a problem with thinking about, you know, it's going to go in the general fund regardless, but what we can do with that money if there's, and that'll come through the budgetary process, because we'll, you know, it won't be long and we'll be, you know, looking at the budget for 2022. And knowing now that we got 400,000, chances next year we might get more, we can keep that in the backs of our mind, and I'm sure administration will be as well, as they present the budget to us, and then we look at the budget and you know, make any changes that we think should be made. But it's not a bad problem. It's actually a good problem. You're like the good old days when they said they used to argue over who got the money. The last 20 years,
we're going to take it from
the money was how do we cut. So I think it's a good idea to take some time and reflect and see exactly if it goes in a general fund. That's a good thing. If there's other places for it to go, that's something else that we maybe haven't been able to do for a number of years.
Well, and for example, in the resolution, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
You're good.
It says something about it being an annual thing with the 300,000, and yet the costs, from what it looked like and what I've read, have been increasing. So if you were to do something and change some of the verbiage, where rather than it being a straight $300,000, if it was some sort of a percentage of what you're taking in each year from this particular fund that comes in, you may actually be able to almost keep up in some ways, because I would imagine, just guessing, that the amount that you might be getting next year might be larger. So if you dealt with it as, rather than just a dollar amount, rather do a percentage amount of what it is what's coming in, you might end up better off in some ways. But that's just again, thinking out loud.
That's why the conversation's necessary. Right? Mr. Herrick?
No, what? I mean,
There you go.
I didn't have my hand up, but I can make a comment. I mean, you know, you're gonna always have the same old thing I said before. The money is gonna come in from that marijuana fund, and you could just stick it in the general fund, or you can say, "Wow, we got this from the marijuana fund," and broadcast it on everything we do. And so it looks like we're just using money to, you know, to pay for projects, you know, or things that within the county like, I'm gonna say personnel things that would come out of general fund anyways, when we should use it, just put it all in one pot and just move it out of there. I'm saying we don't need to, we can say we got the money and put it in the pot, the general fund, and then take it out of there. But I don't think we need to reference everything we're doing with it specifically. I don't think it's a good idea. And that's part of that might be part of the problem with this.
Mr. Begay.
Yeah, I think looks like the bigger issue is the healthcare fund, which we're going to have to deal with because of the rising costs there and maybe having to raise the cost to the employees. So I think that's a bigger issue, but this is another issue here.
Mr. Redmond?
That's right, you covered.
Oh, you got me.
Jamie sort of covered it too.
Can you, in the county government funds, can you designate the dispensary money into its separate fund? Or its separate account to be used in certain ways?
The gold money?
Not COVID, the dispensary money,
Marijuana.
the pot money.
Yeah. There are some restrictions, but off the top of my head, I don't know what the details are yet. I can find out.
Well, because along with Jamie, one of my struggles is that we have this opportunity, but we have no plan. And we have no plan for use of dollars or no plan where we want to be. And I've had multiple people ask me, what are you doing? What is your plan for that money?
Okay.
I've had other people request, even employees, well, we could use a new roof or we could use this because apparently my understanding is our maintenance plan is very reactive. And my comments have always been, we as a commission have not talked about that money or how we think it can best benefit the residents of our county. So it would be very nice, in my mind, along with Jamie, to have some sort of plan, whether we designate X percentage for maintenance and X percentage for recreational in our townships or matching grants or whatever it looks like.
We don't have the final regulations yet. They're coming.
Okay.
And my experience with federal government is that wait till they give you the final version.
This is state, though, not
Yeah,
feds.
well, the state too.
They're just all bad.
Yeah. So we should know shortly. The finance director and I met on this morning. And so when we get the final, which is coming very soon, so then it's better off to do that than to have a plan and then you find out they changed some of the rules or then you got to redo the plan. And I don't think we're going to have any trouble spending it. So.
No, but a plan is good because it helps us know.
Yeah, especially with that much money.
Right.
So, yeah.
All right, so the motion on the table is to refer.
You've
this-
got Jim Barsha.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jim. Tom, you're lit up again, but Jim is talking.
Oh, I just wanted to weigh in and say, maybe Tiffany could explain the purpose. I don't have an issue at all with, the concerns about putting a plan in place. And I know Commissioner Redmond's concerns are legitimate in the past. However, this statute was passed to be helpful to counties and also the townships by 15% of the sales tax of recreational marijuana. And I know we've got lots of needs out there. And I'm just wondering if Tiffany, Jerry could kind of weigh in on the cost of our healthcare going up about 7% a year, I think in the past few years, about $1 billion a year. And Tiffany, I don't know if you'd want to weigh in on what precipitated this resolution, but whatever the feeling of the board is, if you want to split it up or take it year by year, it should be a revenue stream we can count on and it should grow. Especially if Pinconning gets into recreational marijuana, which they currently only do medical marijuana, but they are such a huge wholesale growing operation that that revenue should only grow in the future, but we have no assurance of that. And I think everyone's concerns are legitimate. And that's, I'm wondering if Tiffany would want to explain what the rationale was on the resolution on why this year. I know that some of the townships have felt that since they passed the, the ordinances to allow these businesses to be located in Bay County, but they were looking at the county share and felt it should go back to their townships. But we have, very pressing needs, and I think the legislative intent, of course, was to, allow counties to receive some revenue, especially in the fact that revenue sharing has decreased so much in the past couple of decades. But I just thought I'd share my thoughts, and I'm not sure if Tiffany would want to weigh in on what her thoughts are. Can she hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh, okay.
So, to the question on what precipitated the memo, as we work through the closing of 2020 and we evaluate what transpires in the healthcare fund, we can see that we have higher expenses than we have revenues. To the tune of probably about $350,000. We're not completely done with that reconciliation just yet. And then an analysis of the first quarter of 2021 shows again that we're high on expenses and low on revenues in the healthcare fund, which is going to equate to us utilizing more of the healthcare fund, which has depleted to the tune of a couple of $1 million over the last few years. The combination of the reporting that we now receive regarding COVID-19 claims has also increased those expenses. So it's just a matter of the timing of looking over those things. And of course, the timing, ties to a lot of the conversation about this additional revenue stream that is a newer revenue stream.
Any other, Mr. Brennan.
Yeah, we all know healthcare costs are increasing, and I don't have a problem with going there, but if a commissioner has a question, has something that needs to be answered, this is what referring it is. Refer it to next week, get our questions answered, then we address it then.
Okay. Then shall we vote on the motion to refer?
We have a motion to refer.
What, How are you?
We do have a motion to refer.
We do. Can we vote on that?
No, we
Yeah.
haven't voted yet.
We need to. We need a roll
Just
call.
asked her? Roll call, yeah, yes, can we vote on it?
Oh, I'm sorry. I can't see it or hear it. Coonan,
Yes.
Herrick,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Krieger,
Yes.
Radke,
Yes?
Begic,
Yes.
Fox.
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right, there's a request for supported tuition reimbursement.
I'll move to receive.
Support.
Moved and supported. Any discussion? Roll call?
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Krieger,
Yes.
Radke,
Yes?
Begic,
Yes.
Coonan,
Yes.
Fox.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Request for support of the payables.
I'll move it.
Support.
Mr. Johnson, supported by Mr. Coonan. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Johnson,
Yes.
Krieger,
Yes.
Radke,
Yes?
Begic,
Yes.
Coonan,
Yes.
Herrick,
Yes.
Fox.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Item H, receipt of the general fund equity of 2021.
I'll move it.
Support?
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Krieger,
Yes.
Radke,
Yes?
Begic,
Yes.
Coonan,
Yes.
Herrick,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Fox.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Receipt of Executive Directive 2007-11.
Move to receive.
Support.
Moved and supported. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Radke,
Yes?
Begic,
Yes.
Coonan,
Yes.
Herrick,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Krieger,
Yes.
Fox.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Request for support to approve the renewal agreement with Air Advantage Internet Fiber.
So moved.
Support.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Gick,
Yes.
Luna,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Krieger,
Yes.
Radke,
Yes.
Fox.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, and then request for support of a temporary on-call maintenance heavy-duty equipment operator with the Drain Commissioner's Office.
I'll move it.
Support.
Ooh, you beat me.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Quinn,
Yes.
Herrick,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Krieger,
Yes.
Radke,
Yes.
Gick,
Yes.
Fox.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Oh, am I missing one? The Bay Future. I have an old agenda. Did we hit that? We didn't hit that one yet.
I did.
Bay Future?
I'm sorry.
Bay Future.
Yes. We don't have, here's the one.
Okay, we have requests for support of a renewal of the Bay Future contract.
I'll move that resolution.
Support.
But the resolution, the resolution that I want to approve, and maybe I don't even know if this is this is just information, and I just got it today. I'd like to make a motion to approve a 3-year contract at $50,000 a year, because this particular information is two-part. It would be, the second part would be dealing with the stimulus money, which I haven't seen what we can even do with it. So I would like to, my motion would be to have the 3-year contract, extend the 3-year contract with Bay Future at $50,000 a year. And then we need, as a body, to get more information on the stimulus money, what we can do with it, whether it goes to businesses or where it goes, wherever it goes. I have no idea. So, and that's not to say, once we get more information on this, that we can collaborate with Bay Future on if it's going back to businesses or if it's going for economic development or wherever it's going. But this particular item is too, I think we got the cart ahead of the wagon here. So my motion would be to agree or to approve a 3-year contract, $50,000 each year, and then we'll address this as we as a body get more information regarding the stimulus money.
Mr.
I
Beacon?
would withdraw my support of that motion then. It's not the same motion that we had originally, so.
Well, I'll amend
Support that one.
it. I'll amend it then. This wasn't a resolution.
Well, there's one here. I mean, we have a resolution.
Okay, well, I'll amend that resolution to, as I said, to agree to a 3-year contract, $50,000 a year with Bay Futures. And when we understand what this stimulus dollars, what it can be used for, then if we, at that time, we can go back into an agreement if we have to with Bay Futures. I'm not sure what we can even use the money for. So.
Are you withdrawing?
Yeah, I'll withdraw my support for the.
The motion
amended
allows the
resolution.
conversation.
Right.
So is there support for the motion to have the conversation?
Hi, could I be recognized?
Yes.
Yeah, I guess I'd like to explain why we introduced this resolution, and I would not be in favor of tying our hands on economic development to $50,000 for the next 3 years. We spend less than 1/100th of our general fund on economic development. We have a pitiful effort in Bay County in terms of our commitment compared to even other counties in the Upper Peninsula or across the Lower Peninsula. Typically, a county will have 4 or 5 employees working on attracting industry or entrepreneurs or development to create jobs for their population. But what I'd like to do is just explain the rationale on why we would like to remove the cap so that Bay Future could be the recipient, I guess, of some of these federal revenues, which, as you know, the whole intent of the rescue plan wasn't about broadband, wasn't about recreation or anything else. It was about saving the economy and the jobs of so many millions of people across the country and thousands of people here in Bay County that have lost their jobs due to the pandemic. So Bay County is estimated to receive approximately $20 million from the American Rescue Plan over the next 4 years. 10 million this year, 10 million next year. Anything that won't be spent must be returned to the federal government. We know that one of the pillars of this plan is to support small businesses and hard-hit industries to ensure our citizens stay employed. I have submitted a request to you that recommends Bay County enter into a new agreement with Bay Future for the purpose of helping our business sector survive the disastrous consequences of the pandemic, from the executive order shutdowns of business to many other people being reluctant, even when it was legal, to go out to dine. We have a lot of 4,200 businesses in Bay County, and I hope when we see this pandemic in the rear view mirror that we hopefully will still have our 4,200 businesses employing Bay County residents. As described in the memo, our expired agreement with Bay Future has been, I believe, expired for 7 years, has language that caps our annual investment in their service at $50,000. This cap language needs to be removed in a future agreement in order to utilize their expertise with the American Rescue Plan dollars. Should the board decide to appropriate some of the American Rescue Plan to support and maintain a healthy business community in Bay County, Bay Future has the expertise, experience, and internal infrastructure to carry out this task. Bay Future has awarded grants to our local businesses through the CARES Act, and I believe $2.5 million the city received was distributed to grants in Bay City to small businesses that could show the dramatic decline in revenue that they experienced with the community development block grant funds. They have the knowledge, skills, and abilities to distribute money to our businesses in a fair and efficient manner within the guidelines set forth by the federal government and the board if they so choose to go this route. It is my recommendation that the board renew an agreement with Bay Future that allows them to be a partner with us and the Bay County business community for the next 3 years. There is no immediate financial obligation to the county by renewing this agreement. It is a first step in a continued partnership with Bay Future and gives the board more autonomy and discretion for future contributions to support our businesses, keep our citizens employed, and maintain a strong local economy. However, if the board would like more time or whatever to deliberate, I think it's an important issue, and we still haven't gotten all the definitive information from the U.S. Treasury Department and Secretary Yellen, but that will be forthcoming. But again, the whole intent of the rescue plan was to shore up our businesses, not only here in Bay County and in the state of Michigan, but literally in all 50 states of our nation. So that was just the explanation I wanted to provide the board on what precipitated the resolution.
We have a motion,
So we have a motion but not support.
but not support.
So I guess that's what we're waiting for right now.
Correct.
I support
Okay.
the motion.
So supported
I
by,
believe my motion, if I made the motion, would be to address part of this resolution, and we contribute to Bay Futures for 3 years until we see exactly what we can do with this money. That's not to say that we would not collaborate with Bay Futures in the future. I don't like open-ended contracts where there is maybe a lack of control of dollars. So what I'd like to do is participate with Bay Futures, and as we get more information, then we can decide what we're going to do with that money, who we need to bring in. So my motion was part, because this is two parts right here, and we don't even know what the second, we don't even have all the information on the second part.
I do. You know, if you read the statute, you do.
I don't like agreeing to things that we don't have, that we don't have all the information on.
Bob?
Was it make, well, Bob, but
So what your bottom line is, you want to approve the agreement for 3 years at $50,000.
Right.
And then at a future date, if somebody wants to raise it, you can raise it later.
Sure.
Is that what you wanted to accomplish?
That's it. And I don't know, has anybody here sat down with administration to get a general idea or any kind of idea as to what we can use that money for? I haven't.
No.
So that's what I'm saying. Maybe we should have the opportunity to sit down and see what that money can be used for and then make a plan from, we want to make a plan for 300,000. We got 10 million or 20 million and we haven't even seen what the plan is.
Well, the plan would be to distribute the funds, if it could, Madam Chair, to the businesses that are, facing bankruptcy if they don't get help, financial help. That's why it was rushed through on a partisan vote in the Congress. And there is a lot of information about how it's used to sustain our business community, and more importantly than that, the employees who depend on their employment for their livelihoods and their sustainability of their families. So that was the intent of the legislation that's been covered widely in the media, and there is a lot of information available. And we'll just have to, if you don't feel comfortable acting today, we can try to get that information out. We're looking for specific stuff, but it'd be in terms of broadband and the 4 pillars of the legislation. But the reason the legislation was passed was to recover economic recovery after the damage of the pandemic that has taken a toll on families, individuals, small businesses, medium businesses, and corporations, large corporations. So, but we'd be happy to share that, I guess, concern. And of course, we could either, if we don't negotiate with Bay Future to help them implement this, we'll have to, I assume, add a phalanx of new county employees that have that expertise to distribute the money ourselves if we don't go with Bay Future. But I understand the Coonan amendment is to cap the cost of economic development in its entirety in Bay County from Bay County government at $50,000 a year. And all I can tell you, as I have in the past, that's an embarrassingly small money to allocate. Basically, a couple of healthcare packages for our 770 employees in county government to create jobs, to keep our young people here and to help people stay here and not be forced to leave the county due to the high tax rates and the fact that they cannot earn enough income to sustain themselves here. But housing is pretty affordable, low crime rates. We have a lot of things to be proud of in Bay County, but we're losing a lot of our younger generation to greener pastures because many of them at some point would like to be able to afford to buy a home and perhaps get married and maybe have children. And working in minimum wage jobs doesn't really allow for that. Most of the lenders will not. If you don't have job security and a decent income, they will not make a 25 or 30-year loan. We continue to see jobs exiting the city and our population declining. And so I think it's time that we ramp up our efforts at promoting and marketing Bay County and reaching out to investors that might create employment and tax base here. That's just my thoughts.
Mr. Begin.
I just wondered if a motion to refer for more information will be in order. Is our parliamentarian, since there's a motion on the floor? Is that?
Motion to refer is always in order, but
Okay.
a suggestion.
Okay. I'll do that.
I just first saw this morning, okay? Because it came, I think, late Monday. So what I would recommend now, because it's expired, and they need funding, that we renew the agreement for 3 years at $50,000. And so the next couple of weeks or whatever, we can discuss increasing it, because the board can increase that anytime it wants. I'm sure they won't turn it down.
Jamie?
So just so I'm clear, because there's a lot of things going on. So if the amendment was passed, it would go much in the vein that you just spoke of, that the current agreement has expired. And this would immediately put us back into partnership with Bay Futures.
Right.
With currently with a cap of 50, which is what the old agreement was, right?
At the current rate.
Okay, so which is.
We can discuss whether they can come in and give us their reasons for wanting an increase.
Okay, and the possible uses and the possible uses of the ARC funds that are coming through to be able to add into or add on to.
We have a different source for them, yeah.
Okay, so either way, this might be something where you could immediately enter back into an agreement which we've let lapse, and renew that at least, even as Executive Barshad stated, even if it's a low level at this time, at least you'd be entering back in immediately, and then be able to discuss the possibility of upping and even like how much you might be willing to do.
Well, they've continued, right, with the $50,000 a year, even in an expired agreement.
Okay.
They have continued.
So that lapsed, but it was still being paid out.
Correct.
Correct.
And it has never been raised. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, that $50,000 a year is woefully small, and it should not be tied, an increase to them should not be tied to the rescue funds. I mean, that 50,000, we're lower than everybody. We're lower than the city of Bay City, significantly lower than our adjacent counties. We want to bring jobs and people here, and that doesn't even pay for a person who has any knowledge in that industry to do so. So I feel like that is woefully low to begin with. So to renew for what was our original investment, that doesn't keep up with inflation. That's actually numbers that have gone backwards, in my view. Mr. Herrick.
Thank you. As I understand this resolution, that it's just to remove caps. It's not giving them anything that would go beyond the 50,000. We would have to vote on anyways. I mean, it's not that we're not giving them anything more. But and just so I understand it better, I think the person who probably wrote this, and I'm not sure, is Ms. Johnson, and she probably could. I would like to hear her opinion on what's taken place so far, and maybe she could give us a little more insight on what exactly we heard. I've heard a lot about what's in there, but I'm not really. I'm not really sure. So I'm going to find out now, because I'm going to ask her what this whole thing exactly says.
Thank you. I just want to clarify something in terms of the contract. And part of the reason why administration was requesting that $50,000 cap language be removed is because this agreement is actually a service agreement. We're paying Bay Future for services that they provide. And it's written very strangely, because what we have done is we've basically just an upper cap on how much we're going to pay them. I don't know why it was written the way that it was. This is not just a yearly amount that we give Bay Future. They provide services, they invoice us, and we.
Oh, she froze. Lost her.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. She's frozen.
I don't have the memo in front of me, but it just said we're going to cap it at this. So we could technically pay them less. We've chosen every single year to pay them that $50,000 for the services that are provided. There is a provision in the expired contract that states that Bay Future may choose to continue providing services even after the expiration of the contract, and we will reimburse them for those services. So it's not necessary to re-enter into.
Oh, no.
A new contract today in order to get them paid. It is not a good business practice to do so. So by extending the agreement for 3 years with a 3-year renewable period, basically.
That's why we need beer back in.
Broadband for Amber.
We missed much of what you said toward the end because you went away. And you're gone
You're
again.
freezing again.
So what's the,
It's not stating that you are going to give them more than $50,000. It's stating that you're going to pay them for service.
There won't be a cap on it any
There
longer.
won't be a cap.
Won't be a cap.
The motion is to approve the agreement extension for 3 years, or for the 3-year contract, $50,000 a year.
that's my
We're
motion.
removing the extension options from
Right,
that.
and then the motion I had was to approve the 3-year, and then as we go forward, we get more information, then we'll contract with Bay Futures. If we decide we're going to use a portion of that $10 million for business applications, so.
Madam
Is she
Chair.
still frozen?
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Anybody else up there? I still would like to make a resolution. I think we have questions, and as we've talked about before, if we have any questions, we should get the answers and maybe vote on it next week. I would point out that the resolve number 2 says the cap in the agreement be removed to allow the board discretion. It does say board discretion in any future contribution. So that, I think, is our out right there, that we're going to have discretion if we're going to do more than the $50,000. So, but I still would make a motion to refer if anybody wants to support
Is
it.
there support?
I can support that.
Support that?
Because it sounds like if we were to refer it, then you might be able to get a little bit more detail as to where this is headed. I'm if the executive comments and your comments, in some ways similar to my thoughts. But I didn't get a chance to see this until I came in today. And so if I had the opportunity to be able to get a little bit more information, that'd be great.
Okay.
So.
If anybody could hear that, because I was a long ways away from the microphone.
Is the motion on the floor now to refer the resolution as is to Tuesday's meeting?
Right, for clarification.
Okay.
Okay, that's been moved and supported. Is there any other discussion? New points relative to that motion? All right, let's vote on the motion to refer.
As is.
As is.
Johnson,
Yes.
Krieger,
No.
Radke,
Yes?
Begic,
Yes?
Coonan,
Yes.
Herrick,
Yes.
Fox.
Yes.
Hopefully, there's anybody motion here. Did you vote?
I did. I voted, I was first.
A little confused.
I was first. You're all right.
Okay. Referrals? Hearing none, seeing none, any unfinished business? Mr. Herrick, do you want to talk again?
No, I talked enough. But thank you.
Talked enough.
New business? Yeah.
I just have a quick point. I think the county exec addressed this already. I got a call from a citizen who received a complaint from a resident of Pine Ridge that they're not happy with the demolition or whatever. They're doing remodeling over there. So apparently some of the residents aren't happy with that, but I think he called the county exec's office about that. They are getting remodeled. So apparently they're being displaced and they're not happy with it. I don't know if he has any, Mr. Marshall has any comments on that.
Yeah, they will either be housed in a hotel motel complex, or they can opt to stay in a unit that is reserved for people who are having their units remodeled at a cost of $45,000 per unit. And many sessions were held with the residents, and I don't recall any of them expressing any concern or opposition to it. whenever you have a construction project of this magnitude, that, you know, people are going to be displaced to get their new, you can't really remodel something while someone's sleeping in their bed. So they've got to move out. I think the typical time for the complete renovation is about 48 hours. But we do have a couple of residents out there who are awaiting eviction. And I believe that's who these complaints are coming from. They've been evicted by the courts, but the governor's executive order, no evictions being allowed, has allowed them to remain, even though the courts have determined as soon as the governor's executive order expires, they will be removed from the complex due to their behavior and other issues that the courts determined they were not suitable for that public housing unit out there on Pine Road, Center Ridge Arms.
Thank you.
Is there a reason to go into closed session, Ms. Johnson?
There is not.
Okay, miscellaneous? Announcements?
Just a quick one, this every week for the next 3 weeks. Memorial Day is coming up on the 31st. We'll have ceremonies out front around 9 o'clock. There'll be ceremonies at the helicopter over by the river and also at the Edson. There'll be a schedule coming out in the paper.
Thank you.
31st.
Thank you.
Move to adjourn.
Roll call?
Krieger,
Yes.
Radke,
Yes?
Dick,
Yes?
Freeman,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Yes.
Fox,
Yes.
motion carried.
All right, we're adjourned. Thank you, everybody.